Hello, we're going to go ahead and cover chapter 7. Chapter 7 is called activity-based costing. And what we're referring to here is multiple predetermined overhead rates. And so activity-based costing is the concept that instead of having just one cost driver, we might have multiple cost drivers. And so what we do is instead of having one predetermined overhead rate, we might have multiple. So in a previous chapter, I went ahead and wrote these notes out from scratch for you guys because I don't normally teach this chapter as a lecture. I usually do it as an Excel chapter where the students are like learning how to use Excel better, but that's kind of hard to do in an online format. So I decided to completely redo this. And so it's 6:30 on Sunday night and I'm just getting started making videos because I've been making these notes and homework and everything all day today. So I hope you guys are all doing well. So basically what's going to happen is in chapter 3, we learned how you do actual and applied overhead, and you use the predetermined overhead rate to apply overhead, and then you put it in WIP and the credit side of overhead. So that's the number we're talking about. We're not doing any journal entries in this chapter. We are just learning how to apply overhead. So there's several steps in this process. The first thing we have to do is determine what we think we're going to have for overhead. And then we kind of have to think through what our drivers are going to be. And then we come up with a rate. And then we go ahead and give it overhead. So we're going to basically do several problems in this chapter, working through it together. And then you guys will do that for homework as well. So as the first step, I went ahead and did like a bank teller example, just trying to go through and figure out like costs involved at a bank and the different tasks that a bank does. And so my mom's a bank teller, so I thought I would just use this kind of as an example and see how it goes. So who knows? It's bothering me, but because that S isn't where it's supposed to be. There we go. Okay, so let me hit save real quick. There we go. Okay, so basically teller wages in this particular bank are $160,000. We also have an assistant manager and a branch manager. So our total salaries and stuff are $315,000. And what I'm trying to figure out is what do these people do? So these people spend their time opening accounts, processing deposits and withdrawals, processing other customer transactions, like getting a loan or something like that, and then other activities, which could be, anything else they have to do. In my mom's world, she actually balances people's checkbooks. I can't believe that she still does that, but she has some like older people, like older customers that she just actually goes through and like balances her checkbook. So that's amazing. But the branch manager spends a lot of time doing other activities, whereas the tellers really, they spend most of their time dealing with like the one-on-one stuff. But most of the time, so what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and just take these costs. Like teller wages are 160,000. So I'm going to take 160,000 and I'm going to split it up based on the different roles that they do. So on the next page, we can see the different roles that they do. And I'm going to start off by putting these dollar amounts down here. And then I'm going to split it up based on the percentages. Now, I would point out to you that this is significantly easier in Excel. So normally I do this activity in Excel and they just like copy and paste and drag down. And that's what you're going to do for homework. So bless you, it will be significantly easier than doing it by hand. But 160,000 at 5%. So see how it's 5% for tellers, 5% of 160,000 is 8,000. Now, I'm hopeful some of my numbers will come out where I don't even have to use a calculator. But 160,000 times 0.65 is 104. 20% of 160,000, 16 and 16 is 32,000. And this would be 16,000. Now, when I add these four numbers up, they should equal 160. So I'm going to check my work real quick and make sure I'm okay. 8, 104, 32, and 16. Yeah, I'm doing good. Okay, so now I'm going to take the branch manager's salary of 75,000 and then I'm going to split it. So half of it's going to go here and 15%, 5%, and so on. So 15% of 75,000 is 11,250. Over here, 5% of 75,000 is 3750. I haven't ever done these numbers because I just made up this problem. So I'm hopeful that it's going to work out right. I did it earlier, but instead of 75,000, I had 175 and 180. I have no idea what I was thinking. So I had a total of 515 instead of 315. And so now I'm doing it the correct way, and I'm hopeful that numbers are going to come out okay. 22,500 and 5,000 times 0.5, 37,500. Okay. And then the branch manager salary, I'm going to put 5% of it here. 10% is 8. So this would be 4,000. This would be 0. 10% is 8,000. And then 85% would be the rest, which looks like 68,000, I think. Let me check that one. 80,000 times 0.85. Ah, good math, Nicole Lynn. Okay. So now I'm going to add them up and we're going to see where we ended up overall. So it looks like we spend, as far as opening accounts during the year, that costs us $23,250. And then processing deposits and withdrawals, like that's one of our main tasks at a bank. Like we spend a lot of time taking in money and giving out money. Apparently that costs us $107,750. Here we have 32,000, 22,500, and 8,000, 62,500. And here we have 16,000, 37,500, and 68,000. 121,500. Now, if I've done my math right, which I'm a little nervous that I haven't, because for one thing, I'm tired. And another thing is you guys aren't here to check my math while I'm going, but I do add it across right here and it did equal 315. So I feel good. Okay. So the next step in the process would be like, okay, I need to know what the driver should be. So I filled in this table for you. I meant to leave it blank, but it's fine. So opening accounts, I guess the driver should be the number of new accounts I open each year. For processing deposits and withdrawals, the number of deposits and withdrawals each year. Processing other transactions is the number of other transactions. And then for other activities for this column, I decided I would just allocate it based on direct labor hours. So I'm going to have 4 different PDOs, predetermined overhead rates. Okay. And so what I will do is I have my 4 activities: opening accounts, processing deposits and withdrawals, and so on. And I'm going to come up with each of my predetermined overhead rates. So my estimated costs, I just figured them out. Here are my estimated costs. And so remember when you guys did predetermined overhead rates and you did estimated cost divided by estimated driver? And so here's how we get our estimated costs. Okay. So I have 23,250 and 107,750 and 62,500 and 121,500. Okay, so those estimated costs, I just found them in total, by the way, that's 315,000. And then I came up with my drivers and I just made these up. So I have no idea how realistic this is. I'm just kind of trying to come up with some numbers. And so I decided that I opened 1,000 new accounts during the year. That's a lot, but oh well, I don't know. 23,250 divided by 1,000. So $23.25 per new account. And then I think that it's 225,500. Oh, estimated cost divided by estimated driver. Oh no, I wanted that number to be nice. Okay, so we are going to pretend that that number is 48 cents. We're just going to round because I don't have time to mess with this right now. It used to come out nicely, but then I changed all my numbers and here we are. So we're just going to do 48 cents. 48 cents per deposit withdrawal. And then 62,500 divided by 1,000 is 6,250 here per other transaction. And then, oh, that one's going to come out nice, I think. Maybe not. 121,500 divided by 12,500, $9.72 per direct labor hour. Okay, so here we are. Now we have our predetermined overhead rates. We are going to use these rates to assign costs. And by the way, I went ahead because I was like, I don't know how many direct labor hours. So I'm like, let's say that that's 4 full-time tellers and they each work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. I did 8320. And then assistant manager, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. And then I got 12,480. So I just rounded it up to 12,500 because I'm sure somebody works overtime at some point. So I just did 12,500. So again, I'm just coming up with some rates. And so now I have my rates. And what I want to know is if I look at 1 month, I'm going to pretend like we did 100 new accounts that month. So I'm going to figure out how much cost I think that would be. So 100 new accounts at $23.25 each. is 2,325. And then 19,000 times, was that 48 cents? 91.20. 120 at 62.50, 7,500. And then 1,080. $10 more, 497.60. And 497.60. Then 498. I'll just round that up to 10,498. So in total, my costs are 23.25, 91.20, 7,500, and 10,498. 29,443. So that's what I think my cost should be based on my new predetermined overhead rates. And so the next thing I wanted to do is I just wanted to ask you guys, like, what if instead of having all those different cost drivers and keeping track of how many transactions we process and things, if we just got lazy and said, we're just going to have one cost driver and we are going to do all costs are allocated using direct labor hours. So we're not going to even keep track of all these different cost drivers and we're just going to have one. So if we do that, let's go ahead. Our estimated overhead, our total overhead all along has been 315,000. And then I'm going to divide by total direct labor hours. And based on my table up here, my total direct labor hours are 12,500. So I'm going to take all of these costs and instead of having all these different rates, I'm just going to say everything is based on direct labor hours. So I'm going to divide by 12.5. Okay. And so when I come up with this, then I think my new rate is going to be 315 divided by 12,500, 25.2 per direct labor hour, which is very different than up here. We got $9.72 per direct labor hour because we were only taking other activities and spreading them out over direct labor hours. And now we're taking all costs divided by direct labor hours. So our new rate is 25.20. And so this month we worked 1,080 hours times 25.20 per direct labor hour. So this would end up being 27,216. So that number is different, but it's not drastically different. It's as much different, but I mean, I guess if we added 3 zeros to it, it would be significantly different if we were looking at a bigger bank. But it's actually a lot more accurate to spread it out based on all of our different drivers rather than just looking at one driver. So I wanted to show you other examples of this. And so moving on, I've got some other examples that we're going to work through. And so, oops. So starting off with this one, this is Bob Ross Corporation. So I'm going to do Bob Ross Corporation, and then I'm going to do the Sperling Cleaning Brigade, and that's it. So this is not a very long chapter. So what we're looking at here is Bob Ross Corporation has the following data. We have assembly, processing orders, and inspections. And so the company makes products that require machine hours and orders and inspections and so on. And so then we have direct material, direct labor, and we know what we sell the product for. And what I want to do is I want to come up with basically a product margin, like profits. And so what I'm looking at is how much is the revenue and how much are all the costs, so I can come up with a number that is profit. Okay, so let's start off with our revenue. Actually, yeah, let's start with revenue because it says we're making 430 units. And it says we sell them for $129.90. So here, if I make 430 units and each one sells for $129.90, I'm going to have revenue of $55857. Okay, so over here, if you want to explain yourself, I left myself a place to do that because I knew I was going to want to. 430 times $129.90. And then as far as costs go, basically remember that you always have 3 product costs: direct material, direct labor, and overhead applied. So direct material, direct labor, and overhead applied. And so here we're going to have 3 kinds of overhead. And so I kind of skipped over that, but here are 3 kinds of overhead. We have assembly, processing orders, and inspections. And then we have our total estimated activities for each. So we're going to come up with our predetermined overhead rate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1,114,920 divided by 57,000. So we get 1956 per machine hour. The next one is 47,016 divided by 1,800, so 2612 per order. And then, ooh, that's a big cost. Let's check this one out. 107,328 divided by 1560, 6880 per inspection hour. Okay, and so these are our predetermined overhead rates. These are the rates we're going to use to apply overhead. So our first cost is direct material. And so it says direct material costs are $49.81 per unit. And so again, we make 430 units at $49.81 each. 21,418.3. 21,418.3. Anyway, I think I'll feel better if I make these go to the right because they're numbers. And if I went ahead and did that, and then I put a comma in here, I think that in general, I'm feeling a little bit OCD today compared to normal. I think I'm worse today than normal. Okay, the next one. Oh, by the way, I put this in the wrong place. You guys would have told me had you been in class next to me, but there we go. So I need to put this under direct material cost. So direct material is 430 units and each unit is $49.81. So then for direct labor, it says it's $12.34 per unit. And so 430 times $12.34. 5306.20. Okay. For machine hours, I need to know the number of machine hours so that I can take it times 1956. So the company makes 430 units requiring a total of 1,120 machine hours. So 1,120 times 1956 each. Oops. 1,120 times 1956. 21,907.20. Okay. And then for orders, it's 2612 per order, and there's 40 orders. So I'm going to take 40 times 2612 per order. 1,044.8. And then for inspections, it's 6880 per inspection, and it's 30 of those. 30 times 6880. 30 times 6880, 2064. Okay. And so my profit is my revenue minus my costs. So I'm just looking at this one particular product S38N, S78N, weird. And I want to know, using activity-based costing, multiple drivers, what is the margin? Okay, so let's see how much money we make on this little fella. 55857 minus the costs. 4,116.50. So this is our profit on this particular product. Okay. So this is us finding our rates and then applying it to a job, considering that we also have direct material and direct labor as a cost, not just overhead. So we have the revenue versus all of the costs. And so I could stop my video, but I only have one page left. So I think I'm just going to make one video in this situation. So let's see what's going on over here. Okay, so I knew there was stuff there. So on this one, we are the Sperling Cleaning Brigade, and we make we do housekeeping. And so we're going to use activity-based costing for our overhead, and it says we have the following data. So we have costs and activities. And so as soon as I see that, I'm just going to come up with my rates. So I'm going to take 101,574 divided by 16,200 so I can get a cost per hour. 627. And then here I've got 32,724 divided by 1,800, 1,818 per job. And then here it's based on clients, 5,472 divided by 320, 1,710 per client. Okay, one particular client. So this is one client we're looking at is the Vandal family. And they requested 32 jobs, 1,818 per job, during the year that require a total of 192 hours $6.27 an hour. For this service, the client was charged $2,200. So it says using activity-based costing, compute the customer margin, round out everything to the nearest cent. Okay, so I didn't actually give you like any information here. I just went ahead and like left it alone just to see like what would come in here. So let's go ahead and check this out. So my revenue is going to be 2,200. Oh, why is my spacing so weird? Okay. So if you're typing this in with me, highlight all this and do paragraph. And there's some weird stuff. Don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. Let's just do single to see if we can make this work right. Okay, so why is there this giant gap? Oh, I don't know what's happening. Okay. What was it saying? Okay, so 2,200. Oh, it's trying to like be a multiple choice question or something. Okay, so let's see what I can do to get rid of this. Oh, see, it's trying to do this. Okay, so get rid of any spacing in between. If you need to just go to another page or something, that's fine. But okay, all right, so back here, revenue, costs. My costs are going to be cleaning hours and what's going on? Oh, I'm bad at this. Jobs and client. So for cleaning hours, we said it was $6.27 per hour times 192 hours. So $1,203.84. For jobs, it was 32 jobs. So 32 times, how much is it per job? 1818? 581.76. And then for clients, they're just one client, so just 1710. And then let's see what our profit is. So for profits, we would just take revenue minus cost. 2,200 minus 1,203.84 minus 581.76 minus 1710. 397.30. So that is our profit that we would make on this job. Double underline, says Drake. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do letter B. And letter B says, assume the company decides instead to use a traditional costing system in which all costs are allocated to customers on the basis of cleaning hours. Compute the margin. So the margin is revenue minus cost. So we need a rate based on all costs using cleaning hours. So all costs are here, $139,770. And cleaning hours in total, all costs based on cleaning hours, 16,200. So we're going to get a new rate. 139,770 divided by 16,200, $8.63 per cleaning hour. So then when we go on and we want to do our profit margin, like, because it says compute the margin, we're still going to charge the Vandal family 2,200, but all of our costs are going to be based on cleaning hours. So we're just going to take 863 times, how many hours was the Vandal family? The Vandal family was 192 hours. So all costs based on 192 hours, 1656.96. Is that what it said? 1656.96. Now everything will line up better. Okay, and so then our profit would be 2,200 minus 1656.96, 543.04. So if I remember, I'll go in and make you guys little tables so that it doesn't have to be so hard as far as your formatting, and you'll just have to watch me fumble with the formatting and you won't have to worry about it. So, okay. So your homework is just going to be based on you guys allocating costs and figuring out profits and stuff. So hopefully it goes well, and I will make you a homework help video as well. So I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.